Hey everyone, I am T-REx and today I'm doing my review of Batman Begins. This is the first film in my 3-part series where I will be ranking the entire Dark Knight Trilogy, so stay tuned and come back later when those videos come out. I will be ranking the entire Dark Knight Trilogy where I will be reviewing every film. This is one of my favorite movie trilogies, if not my favorite, so that gives you an idea of where I'm coming from with these movies. Anyways, let's get started. First off, Batman Begins is a film directed by Christopher Nolan, one of my favorite directors, about a billionaire named Bruce Wayne trying to find a way to fight crime after the death of his parents, leading him to become Batman. This is the origin story of Batman, and come on, basically everyone knows it, but let's talk about the narrative. Now, this is pretty much going to be a non-spoiler review, but there might be some topics that people might find spoilery. But let's just talk about the film. It's about Bruce Wayne wanting to fight crime after his parents' death. Now, the origin story is actually very interesting in the first third of the movie. The movie expertly sets up Bruce Wayne as a person before they even talk about Batman. Now, the film, in my opinion, is easily the strongest in the beginning with the Bruce Wayne scenes and his lead up to him being introduced as Batman. This part of the film is amazing, seeing his rise to become Batman. And don't get me wrong, afterwards it's still very good, but I do want to talk about the third act of this film, which I feel is easily the worst third act in these films. The first 2 acts of this movie felt so grounded before, and then the third act happens and it feels very separate to the other parts of this film. It's not bad per se, it's just that I think the film loses a lot of its steam towards the end. I think the story was very interesting. I just think the last third didn't really stick the landing, but the first act's amazing, the second act's really good as well, but the third act I just don't really think did its best. Although this is actually in tone the most comic booky of the entire series, if you can say that, the film easily feels the most different out of this entire series. That's not a bad thing. Overall, I really enjoyed the narrative of this film, and I thought that most of the time had good pacing. I just thought the third act was a bit underwhelming. Next thing I want to talk about, characters. And I think that the characters in this film are great and have mostly excellent performances. Christian Bale as Batman is excellent. For me, he kills it. Not only as Batman, but as an awesome Bruce Wayne. For me, he's just such an interesting person when he is not Batman. And you want to see him as Bruce Wayne just as much as you want to see him as Batman, which is a real compliment because of how awesome Batman is. Also, you have people like Gary Oldman, who is amazing as Gordon, and Michael Caine as Alfred. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox is also a great addition, and these characters are so good that's hard to see people being better at these characters than these actors. They all define their role so well. Also, Liam Neeson gives a fantastic performance, being that awesome mentor for Batman and Bruce Wayne. I think really adds an interesting dynamic of honor into this film. Also, Cillian Murphy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he kills it as Scarecrow. He has the perfect amount of creepiness while also bringing that kind of insane energy in that creepy doctor. He is amazing. And now let's talk about an issue with a character, and that's going to be Rachel. She's played by Katie Holmes, and she's not terrible, but whenever she's having scenes with other characters, she definitely feels like she's lagging behind. She definitely is the weakest link when it comes to the acting. Like, there's a scene where she's talking to Bruce Wayne, and it kind of feels like she's like reading the script, so she's like, "Get me guys down there right now." It doesn't feel like real dialogue. Like, Christian Bale as Batman really feels like a person, and she just really doesn't. But overall, all the characters except her are absolutely amazing, and I think the characters in this film are easily the standout. Now let's talk about scenes and action scenes as well. And first off, Batman fights how Batman should fight. I love how they set him up as a ninja before, when he's silently taking out people. They can't really find him. It's awesome. Also, he really just fights with this brutality, and he just like is pounding guys as much as he can. I think that really feels like Batman, and I thought it was awesome. The hand-to-hand combat in this movie isn't as fluid, but some of the scenes where he is in the bat suit is amazing. There's one scene where he calls in bats, which is awesome, along with an epic Batmobile chase. Overall, there are a lot of great scenes and moments that really stand out in this movie. Also, the score to this film is fantastic and really brings the film all together, where it's him climbing mountains and stuff. The Batman score in this is absolutely fantastic, and I love the score for all 3 of these films. This film is a fantastic origin story that sets up the world of Gotham and the main character of Batman nearly perfectly, showing the corruption of the mob and populating this world with absolutely fantastic characters, and also adding fantastical elements where they feel right. I think this film only really falters in that last act, where it's not terrible, but it just feels very different and not really up to par in quality as the first 2 acts of this film. But when it comes to this film, I am going to say that Batman Begins is great. This isn't awesome. I just don't personally love everything they did in the final act, and that kind of holds it back, but I think it is such a fun watch. I think that you should really watch it, and I would love to see your opinion. Tell me what you think of Batman Begins in the comments section, as I would love to hear your thoughts, and why not share this video with someone who loves Batman, or maybe Batman Begins or Christopher Nolan. Also, next time, I will be reviewing the sequel to the film in The Dark Knight, which is one of my favorite movies, period. So, you should watch out for that. That will be up this Friday, so come back when that comes out. And anyways, when that comes out, I'll see you then. Bye.